Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to CIET NCRT's live phone-in interactive program. Under Cyber Jaagrookta Diwas, we are here with our theme of this month, that is November, and the theme is social media, safety and well-being. This entire online training has been organized by CIET NCRT and Cyber Peace Foundation. Well, my name is Tanvi Khurana and you're watching us on PME with their channel number 6 to channel number 12. And here we are with our online trainings day 2. And today's discussion topic is social media, the impact. Well, we all know that there are so many social media handles out there and adults, they are handling all of them simultaneously and it has become certain kind of addiction, which is not very healthy for all the children. So that's why we are here. What are the different impacts of social media, be it positive, be it negative? If you have any questions, any queries, please reach out to us. You can give us a call on our number, which is 8800440559. If you want to email us, then the email ID would be cybersafety@ciet.nic.in. At this moment, you're watching us on our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. In the live chat box, you can write down your questions, your queries, and share them with us. So till 5 o'clock, we have an expert with us, and he'll be discussing this topic, social media, the impact in detail. So let me please introduce to you, we have with us Dr. Nitin Anand. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. A warm welcome to you, all the participants as well.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me please introduce you to all our viewers who are watching this program. Dr. Nitin Anand is an additional professor of clinical psychology and consultant from Service of Healthy Use of Technology, that's SHUT Clinic. Consultant at Obsessive Disorder Clinic at Department of Clinical Psychology, Nimhans, Bangalore. Well, that's not all. He has published somewhere around 51 research articles in peer-reviewed national and international PubMed index journals in the area of internet addiction, exploration of psychological correlates for excessive use of technology, and also technology addiction for young adults. Well, that's a lot of research he has done. So I think he has got a lot of material to tell us. That's a lot of information to share. So let's begin this discussion without wasting any more time, and let's ask Dr. Anand. Sir, what are those impacts that we are going to discuss in this particular program of social media? Sir.
I think we will try to cover what social media use is for adolescents, whether it is important for them, what purposes it serves for them. Are we moving towards behavioral addictions? What could be the likely signs and symptoms of excessive social media use or problematic social media use? What are associated phenomena with problematic or excessive social media use? What are the risk factors for individuals or adolescents and young adults for engaging in excessive use? And what are the strategies to engage in healthy or moderated use of social media? And also we'll try and cover how can actually parents and school authorities and teachers facilitate and engage adolescents around healthy use of social media.
Okay, so these are the pointers that we are going to discuss. Shall we start discussing them in detail?
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead.
Okay. So I can see that you have a presentation made. Shall we start using that, and would you like to use that to explain pointers to our viewers?
Yeah, I think that will be beneficial. Can go ahead. So to begin, I work at the SHUT Clinic in Nimhans, Bangalore. This is just some of the viewpoints which have been shared by users or the individuals who we see there. Includes adolescents, young adults between the age of 18 years and upwards, and their parents. Just to start with it, some of the initial impressions which they share with us is when they visit us at the clinic is adolescents usually believe that they are appreciated more online and not in the real world, that is the offline world. They also believe that their best friends are online, and they see that they respect me, they appreciate me more. They feel good and happy when they spend online, and they believe basically virtual world is what they need, and the remaining things are meaningless. How parents and families view it is that my child is unwilling to spend time with me. Maybe in adults, maybe partners and spouses have no time family. They are interested only to be with their online clients, not with their family, and they believe that they are losing their child to the digital or the virtual world. So with this, we will start. These are some of the impressions which we usually get with the individuals who seek out for help at the Shakti Clinic in Imans, Bangalore. We'll try to give an overview of who is at risk for developing addiction. Just to see some of the prevalence statistics, these are till 2020, but however, I'll take you forward till 2022 as well. So if you see that India is one of the largest consumers of digital media and internet, and it is second behind the other countries of China and United States. At the moment, it appears to have around 34% of internet penetration in India. However, it is increasing very steadily and maybe around somewhere around 5% each year, and it is expected to increase somewhere around 43 or maybe around 48% by 2024-25. Whereas if you see US market is somewhere nearly saturated, around 82% already penetration is there in US. So these are some latest figures from this year of the report, and it looks like India is somewhere around 34. I'll come back in a moment and share why I'm sharing these facts and figures with you. Because many of these countries, like US, Europe, Southeast Asia, they have higher penetration rates, they have higher digital devices are there, it means. But our lot of problems with social media use, internet use, gaming use also exist with them. In terms of the social media use now, we can see that in aspect to that, we have around 1.14 billion individuals have smartphone devices or cellular mobile phones. 658 million are internet users, that is 47% of our population have access to internet now. And active social media use is somewhere around 467 million, which is, with respect to population, 33% of population is using social media. In terms of year-on-year growth, we can see that nearly around 4.2% year-on-year growth is there for social media, and for internet also it's somewhere around 5%. And for digital devices or phones, it is somewhere around is around 3%. So with this, and in terms of other users, maybe we can see that majority of the data indicates that majority of social media users are males in comparison to females. These are maybe some contrasting findings, but this is how it is. So in terms of the favorite social media platforms, primarily we know that they are Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and others are a little lesser. And time spent on social media apps, I think it's somewhere ranges around 2 hours, which is very less, from Telecom to 29 hours a month. And it's increasing. It's not static, it's a dynamic statistic. And if you can see that it is increasing from somewhere around 33% to 12% would be considered as the range, which is slightly scarier, and it worries because majority of the users of social media are start as early as in the adolescence. What is even more important and crucial is that a number of referrals happen from social media sites, because when adolescents and young adults go to these websites, they do not stay there for long. Usually they will click on a link which will take them to another advertising platform or marketing platform, or an online buying platform where they can buy products or services. And this is primary use of social media, which influences adolescents and young adults to move in that direction. In terms of WhatsApp users, it is also found, it's a slightly recent statistic which says that India is one of the highest users of WhatsApp, and it is nearly like 89% of individuals use this app. This is the highest. Coming to some of the quickly statistics from Niman's Shut Clinic. This is which we did research study which we finished in 2013. It indicated at that point of time there was 4% of mobile phone addiction, 3.5% for social media addiction, 4% shopping addiction, and gambling addiction, and a large chunk also we found as 7% around having video game addiction. So with these statistics in mind, what I'm trying to share is we have to ask this question to ourselves: are we moving towards a potential real addiction in our society and in our community? The answer possibly with these figures is yes. The risk is there, and I think we can learn from what has happened in other countries, especially where the penetration rates for internet and social media users are even higher than what is indicated in India, so that we do not make those mistakes here, especially with the population of adolescents and young adults. So we need to, because sometimes the concerns are that daily excessive use does not exist, or it is not really problematic. It's not really an addiction is there. And now, basically, there has been intrusion into personal space, family time, and shared rituals. Technology has taken over most of these activities. If you see, this is a small graphic I prepared to just share that how actually the time is being taken away by all the gadgets which we have. Earlier we had time for self, maybe we had time for family, for hobbies, for learning new skills, for any other goals, and maybe for relaxation as well. But if you see, that was is there. But however, soon as we have started consuming technology, we always have access to mobile phones, smartphones, tablets, notepads, laptops, and other thing is we also have now constant internet connectivity. Nearly there is a persistent presence for us online. We constantly check and keep on updating our statuses on social media platforms. So this is actually taking away all the time which we earlier had for self, for hobbies and other things. And without us knowing, it is actually encroaching into this. And we'll see. So coming to this, in simple words, how do we comprehend this then? That when do you think that behaviors become addictions? So behaviors become addictions when they disrupt real life, when such as they disrupt schoolwork or work performance. Uh, Adolescents start having difficulties in relationships with their friends, with their family members. They find it difficult to sleep on time, wake up on time. Meal timings are getting delayed. At times, also we find with the clinical practice that hygiene levels also get delayed. And these, as of now, the social media addiction, they are not yet official medical diagnoses as such, but currently they are coming into the research domain, and the research is ongoing across the world on social media addiction. But video game addiction is currently under the research category as per the DSM criteria which we use for diagnosis. If we move to more official signs of social media addiction, we can say they are nearly around 8 or 9. First one being preoccupation. If you are engaging in excessive use of social media, and then you try to neglect some basic drives like sleep, hygiene, meal times, that is one indicator. When you're away from social media usage or away from a smartphone, you feel irritated, you feel angry, you feel sad, and you miss it. There's a craving about it. Tolerance basically means that you need to use social media on a daily basis, and you over a period of time have increased the amount of time which you are spending on social media without you noticing it, and you want to spend now more and more time on social media platforms. If at times you have tried to control and cut down your use of social media, you find it very difficult to do that, and majority of the times you are unable to do that or you fail to do so. At times, you may also have a lot of consequences that maybe there's a loss in academic performance, there are grades are declining, some relationship concerns have come up with parents or friends. But however, despite all that, you still disregard these aspects and would still want to continue with the excessive use of social media. Offline interests, hobbies are lost. You get very few offline friends are in touch with you now because majority of time you're spending on social media platforms. We are using at times these social media platforms as a way of coping from maybe say unpleasant feelings of anxiety, sadness, sometimes loneliness as well. And at times you also hide from your family members, friends, and relatives about the amount of time you're actually spending on the smartphones for social media or internet. If out of these 8, approximately around 5 of these, the answers to 5 of this is yes for you, then it's a high indicator, there's a likely indicator that you possibly have excessive or problematic use of social media or social media addiction. Uh, Moving to another related criteria, maybe a more simpler one than this, we call it as the 4C criteria. That is craving, that is a continuous desire to use the internet or social media apps. Difficulty in controlling and minimizing the use of internet. Third is the compulsion. You fail, basically you try to cut down, but and you have a strong urge to engage in the use, and you end up using it more than what is you had initially thought of. And fourth is consequences that we discussed, that irrespective of negative consequences which you had faced in the past because of spending more time on these platforms, whether decline in academic performance and other work-related activities or interpersonal relationship concerns have come up, to disregard those consequences and still go ahead and use it. So out of this four also, if you fulfill any of these three criteria out of four, then also these are indicators that you have broadly internet addiction, and maybe more specifically if you want to focuses on smart social media use, you also are at risk and likely you are engaging in problematic or excessive use of social media, which can also be termed as social media addiction. Yeah. So to bring into context all these findings, now the constant need is there to be always be connected, to always have an online presence, to constantly check and respond to the internet. So now the focus is primarily the online presence has turned into a priority in life, and you are surrounding it with the goals of the day and the goals of the life. It is not the other way around. Possibly, it is not like the internet is facilitating you to achieve the goals in your life, but the main goal is to be on the social media applications and to always have an online presence, and the remaining goals of the day and other activities they surround it. If this is happening, so kindly be aware that you may be at risk or you are engaging in excessive amounts of social media use. And definitely, it's a continuum. We cannot really categorize it and say that always you may be in this category, but yeah, say starts from healthy use, goes to maybe you can say excessive use. Then even further, if you are not able to track it, it can go to problematic use, and then if it becomes extremely severe, it can go to pathological use, where you may require, we say, clinical intervention in terms of hospitalization as well. Okay. Now moving on to, if we have understood that we have just made a brief attempt at understanding what social media excessive use is, what are the signs, what are the symptoms, and how it may be impacting us. Now moving on to some of the related phenomena associated with social media use. It is one of the phenomena that is called as nomophobia. This is not an Indian statistic. I'll come to the figures from India. Primarily, it is the irrational fear of being without your mobile phone or not being able to use your phone, smartphone for some reason. And when you have this, at that point of time, you find it very difficult to be away from it. It causes you to be very anxious, you become very irritable, you become angry, and you find yourself not in your comfort zone. So this is on the rise, and to share with you, we have India data as well. This was done on both two sets of students. One is university students and medical students, and it was found that moderately it was found in 42%, severe nomophobia was found in 15%, and here we found that males outnumbered the females. That is around 20% males had this in comparison to 17% of females, and the most affected range was found between age to 18 to 24 years. We don't have data on adolescents, but we believe that similar phenomena exists among them as well. The next phenomena which we constantly come across at the clinic is the fear of missing out. I think we know that it's basically an apprehension that others might be having maybe more enjoyable, more pleasant, more rewarding experiences with others from when one is absent, or you are feeling that you are missing out on a social event or an opportunity. And it is characterized by desire to stay always continuously connected with what others are doing. So that is the fear of missing out, which is a very, very common phenomena, and this is one of the cognitions or the thought processes which always lead you to go back to your social media applications and keep on checking what is happening there. It also tends to basically look quite simple, but in a day it makes the frequent number of visits increase, the time duration spent on social media increases, and it is there always across all your activities which you are doing, which also minimizes your productivity levels. So for FOMO, what we have in India data is that nearly around 82% of young adults reported to be experiencing FOMO. India data, 21% of women experience this, and as compared to 16% of men. And I think 56% of internet users also admitted that they can't survive more than 5 hours without the internet connectivity. I think this is slightly older data, which I'm sharing with from 2019 or so. There, and this is not for adolescents, but this phenomena does exist in our clinical understanding and our clinical experience among adolescents as well. The next phenomena which we discuss is called as the phantom vibration syndrome. This is also we have seen in the adolescents and young adults who visit our clinic, where it's basically they get a feeling that the smartphone is ringing or maybe it's vibrating, and when actually it is not. And majority of them, as of now, are reporting it as occasional sensations which are there maybe once or twice every week, and a small majority of them, a small minority of them, sorry, also appear to experience this phenomenon on a daily basis. So if you have this, if you are experiencing, this is also an indirect indicator that you possibly are engaging in excessive use of smartphone, or and maybe also engaging in excessive use of social media applications. So if it helps you, if this explanation helps you, then either you are having a FOMO, or if you are feeling that you cannot stay away from mobile phones, or you are experiencing this, it is also known as in some cases ring anxiety. Okay, and then it indicates that you are engaging in excessive use of the smartphone. The other related phenomena which we are also coming across is what we call as digital amnesia. This is the statistics from the public domain itself, wherein we believe or unknowingly it has happened that smartphone has become an extension of our mind, and our survival primarily depends on the use of a smartphone. So here, majority of the participants which were part of this survey were not really interested in remembering any facts or information, because they believe that the smartphone is sufficient enough to remember everything. And maybe around more than 70% of them thought that just in case if they are away from the smartphone, they cannot use their smartphone, or they have access to smartphone but they cannot use it because there is a loss of battery, loss of internet connectivity at that point in time, it will be catastrophic, because they don't know now next what is to be done, or how they are going to spend their time, or they are going to lose out many things till the time they are away from social media. Okay, so we'll discuss this later, how to overcome all these associated phenomena. But in the passing, gadget hygiene, or what we call digital hygiene, is something which should be initiated early on in during adolescence or during the early years as an adolescent or a young adult, so that these kind of concerns can be kept into moderation. The other associated phenomena which also commonly occur is called as fobbing. Fobbing is extremely common. It is there with adolescents, young adults, and even with adults, irrespective of the age. It is there, but it basically is trying to have an impact on the interpersonal relationships which the adolescents are trying to have. So if someone is trying to talk and you are actually talking with them, but you are actually glued to a smartphone and then you're replying to them, this indicates that usually the interpersonal interaction becomes very less gratifying for the individual who is trying to hold this conversation, and it minimizes the levels of satisfaction, minimizes the levels of belongingness, and the meaningful existence which is there. So it possibly also leads to lower relationship satisfaction, and in the longer run may also contribute to some unpleasant feelings of sadness as well. Uh, the other phenomena which has been there for quite some time, and now this Facebook depression, which is now being taken over by Instagram, because Instagram excessive amount of usage is there of Instagram now. So majority of the adolescents now are engaging in the use of Instagram instead of Facebook, but we have data about Facebook. So it basically appears that they engage in excessive use of these social media websites, and where they go there to see as to what is happening, and they believe that other people are trying to have are appearing to have more rewarding experiences in their life, but they end up doing what we call as upward comparison. And how upward comparison leads to Facebook depression is that when you go onto these websites, possibly you view other people as having more, being more happy, having more rewarding experiences, and then you compare your set of skills, your possessions, your life experiences, and then you believe possibly that you are having a less satisfying life, you're having less number of pleasant experiences in your life, and that leads you to feeling sad. And if this continues over a given amount of time, then possibly what ends up is your self-esteem becomes poor, your beliefs about feeling efficacious about your own skills also decreases, and then you start experiencing symptoms of sadness. Over a period of time, you start feeling worse than others, and all this happens when also you lack adequate amount of coping skills, and this slowly leads to hopelessness, sadness, and also at times moves towards depression. So this happens through the upward comparison. There's another related concept of downward comparison also happens wherein we use these sites, wherein we go and we try to unknowingly start comparing who we are better from. So are we having better experiences than in comparison to others? But instead of doing that, what you may be going there unknowingly for downward comparison, but you end up engaging in upward comparison, which leads to you becoming sad and depressed over a period of time. The newer forms and features of smartphones, that is selfie. So there's a condition which we call as selfitis, and wherein people feel compelled to continually post pictures of themselves on social media, and we have India data for that. It was recently published, and there are three kinds of severity forms of selfie addiction which are there. So they could be in the ranging from borderline to chronic. To mention acute or chronic, who actually take selfies at any point of time, and they have an uncontrollable urge to take selfies, and most more or less more than 6 times. If you are actually engaging in this, it indicates that yeah, definitely you have an excessive absorbent use of the feature of taking selfies, and definitely you have an addiction. And the range is starting from 3 times in a day to 6 times in a day. If you fall in this range, you may be actually engaging in excessive use. And the other surprising statistic which we have is India is the selfie debt capital of the world. This is not India statistics. This is statistics from the globe, and we have a published research paper on this. It's not from our clinic, but this data is available. So this was analysis between 2011 and 17, and you can see the highest number of selfie deaths reported were in India in comparison to the other 4 countries, which are also in Russia, States, and our neighbors. So, and the most top-rated reasons for death was by selfies was by actually by drowning, by actually in a transport when they were traveling and they're trying to take pictures, or they were actually at very height, either on a mountain or on a skyscraper or somewhere else, and they engage in taking of a selfie and then they actually plummeted to their death. So these are slightly scarier factors which are there. And next now, the phenomena which we will be talking about is cyberbullying or cyberbullying victimization, to be more precise. In this phenomena, if you spend excessive amounts of time on a social media platform, there are high chances that you may be victimized, or you may experience that people are trying to basically sending threatening emails or text messages to you because you have shared some of your opinions or concerns over these platforms. They misguide you and to reveal your personal information. They pretend to be someone else online, or they start spreading some rumors about you in your social groups or circles, or they may post inappropriate pictures about you to hurt or embarrass you. If any of these experiences takes place or has happened, then it means they come into the gamut, or they come into the perspective of what we call as cyber victimization, and it happens in a majority of times among adolescents and young adults. So these were the phenomena. We had covered a good set of phenomena which are related to social media, excessive use of social media, and you may experience any of them. If you are experiencing them, then these are the risk factors. These are the kind of risks which are associated with that. Moving to the studies, and what do the studies and research factors indicate us? What are the likely risk factors for this? The indications are that if you are a male, if you're an adolescent male or a young adult, if you are residing in a metropolitan city, you are at risk in terms of demographic factors, because you will have higher access to these devices, you will have higher access to better quality smartphones, be engaging in social media platforms. You may have unlimited data packages. Also, in terms of interpersonal relationships and family domains, if it has been found that if parents have been less involved with their adolescent children, and if they are having interpersonal problems among the parent-child relationships are poor, and also they have negative interactions with their peers, with their friends, then they are likely indicators that they may be spending more amount of time on these social media applications, and look forward on these social media applications for fulfillment of their psychological needs. Moving very briefly into personality, we also have found findings indicate that individuals who are very shy, who have, we can say, who are introverts, who have low levels of their self-esteem, and are higher at risk for engaging in these platforms. And also it has been positively associated with depression, as we have discussed earlier, how it happens with Instagram or with Facebook. Depression, anxiety, possibly they have higher levels of anxiety because of these comparisons. Also, it leads them to engage in excessive use as a source of escape, or as a source of distraction, which is on a transitory basis. But these are the findings which indicate that these are risk factors, because they have not been reported in one study, but a good number of studies have indicated these findings. Now, moving over to the perspectives, very brief peek over to the perspectives which we have about. There are some theories, there are some psychological theories which indicate that why do there's a need for engaging in social media use, and how does it basically then become addictive by nature. So usually there is individuals seek gratifications from use of technology and from use of social media platforms to fulfill their motivations, maybe to engage and explore their identities, to maintain social networks, to maintain social relationships, to share their interests and to learn newer skills, and to receive online support. But these may be well, but however, over time, they start engaging in this, and it slowly becomes excessive, and it slowly may start developing those criteria of what we saw in addiction, that is of high levels of craving, salience, tolerance, and withdrawal over a period of time, and then it becomes out of control. Right. In another perspective about this is that individuals have motivations, primarily two kinds of motivation: internal and external. And especially during adolescent years, adolescents have a need for autonomy, to show that how competent they are, and also have a need for belongingness, to establish newer interpersonal connections, to maintain these connections, to share their interests and hobbies, and to get approval, appreciation, social rewards from others, or especially among peers. And this is facilitated highly by these social media applications and platforms, and as a result of which it becomes addictive, because they do not have a balancing offline profile. When they spend lesser time in offline formats, but a majority of time on online formats, then it becomes the virtual world is more becomes slightly gains more important in comparison to the real world. Moving over to interventions, what we can do, I will come to first clinical interventions and to the other healthy uses of how social media can be used. So in terms of interventions, we in psychological interventions, we primarily use psychological interventions because they are to be used with adolescents, and psychological interventions are much more favored over pharmacological interventions. And we use a specific intervention called as cognitive behavioral intervention. And the reason why we use it is because it has been found to be effective in treating substance use and other emotional disorders, which also have a compulsive nature, and they have been successfully treated with CBTs. Thus, CBT is also being offered for smartphone or for addiction and for social media addiction, and it is similar to other impulse control problems like social media addiction. So, thus, the CBT has been used, and encouraging results have been found across the globe with a use of cognitive behavioral therapy for social media addiction. The larger goals of this psychological intervention is to basically minimize the intrusion of technology into the time for self and family, ensuring that you have survival of your hobbies, skills, and you improve the ability to manage your own urges and impulses over a period of time, maintain improvements over time, and possibly learn. The larger goal is to how to coexist with using social media, because social media is here to stay. So learning healthy use of technology is going to go a long way. Now moving to another related aspect of behavior modification. This is also part of cognitive intervention. We need to identify triggers, because what are the triggers at the times when we engage, we initiate social media use. So what we have found out, what are these usual times or what are these usual triggers for adolescents whenever they are alone at home, when they do not have any offline activities to do, when boredom is slightly higher, when possibly they have had an argument with their family members or friends, when they are engaging in some amount of avoidance of not to engage in completing of some academic assignments or any other work which they didn't want to do. And these are the weak moments when the possibly there will be an urge, likely there will be a trigger when they will want to use a social media platform. And once they start using it, then it becomes excessive amount of time is spent before the binge is stopped. Okay, so we usually in psychological interventions we try to review what are the triggers which happen, what are when are the usual times of the day when it happens. We try to develop a profile for each individual, and then we try to start focusing on some of the behavioral modification strategies, like maybe trying to delete bookmarks, favorite files, or apps which are there, trying to use filtering softwares or software which help us to regulate our online use, which inform us about how much time we spend online, so the informed decisions can be taken. Trying to basically minimize the internet speed, which is slightly difficult, but with adolescents, if we do that, possibly they become a little bit, they will be able to use less amount of digital content over a period of time. Okay. So those are some things which can be done. In addition, simultaneously, we also focus on minimizing the time by actually focusing on decreased time for minimizing the excessive time by ensuring that they have a scheduled time for their biological functioning, including sleep timings, meal timings, and also engaging time with the family and friends. Also scheduling time for online hobbies and skill learning, which is extremely important, and some time for the physical activity and sports. Because once they engage in these aspects, which are all nearly offline activities, the amount of time which is being spent on online activities will possibly start decreasing, because these are the ones which are always overlooked when individuals or adolescents are engaging in high levels of social media use. Now, moving on to what family members or can do is what we call as the digital hygiene skills. And it is not that these are only for adolescents; these are also for parents or and others. Because if they can be followed as a ritual, if you will be engaging in helping them in learning how to use, engage in healthy use of technology, because technology is going to be here. and we cannot escape not using it. One is what we call as the concept of phone basket. The concept of phone basket being that maybe at a particular point of time in the evening, the family can decide what will be the cutoff time, maybe say 7 or 8, and after that, maybe everyone puts their smartphones and digital gadgets into a big basket, and it gets shut, and no one accesses it till the time till next morning, possibly. Notifications to be put in the silent mode, trying to develop schedules for responding to social media applications, trying to develop some times during the day which are smartphone or maybe digital devices free hours, maybe three hours in a day to start with. We also try and educate adolescents and young adults about digital fasting on a Sunday. Maybe if they can stay completely offline and try to see how they can actually have a healthy offline schedule on that day. Can we also family can come up with a common collaborative understanding about which are no phone zones or which are no electronic devices zones. It could be study rooms, could be relaxing rooms or places like that. So all these becomes extremely crucial in terms of a larger set of other things which can help them implementing having an informed discussion with adolescents about risks and benefits of social media, how they can actually protect their personal information, uh, and maybe how the parents can actually develop an understanding of how they can actually supervise some of their online behaviors through a shared social media account or through helping the children share what kind of uploads they are going to be doing. If we can discuss it before they do that, we could. And basically not enforcing abstinence, because abstinence in today's world is quite difficult. Okay, yeah. So these are the don'ts. Possibly trying and see that if we do not set overly strict limits, which are unachievable, uh, maybe if we can don't try to use internet as a positive reward over other things, that not to be parents have to be assertive rather than to be extremely aggressive in communicating their demands to children or having a conversation with them about cutting the excessive use of social media, not overemphasizing on academics, because sometimes if the academic pressure is too much, as we discussed earlier, they can use technology as a way to escape, or social media platforms as a way to escape from such pressure and cope with these demands, and maybe use it as a distraction for the time being, where they escape out from this amount of anxiety and stress which is there. Okay. And one of the most important concern which we have come across is that parents also have to minimize the use of social media applications and technology. Because if they do that, possibly observational learning takes place, and adolescents become slightly more amenable when we work with them in psychotherapy, or when we work with them in implementation of cognitive behavioral therapy. They become more amenable for working on these lines then. Yeah, and yes, parents to also engage in offline behaviors, spending time with family, also engage in balanced use of technology versus complete abstinence, which is, as we discussed, is not really feasible. Okay.
Okay.
Lastly, I think just want to share about this start cycle, which is there, which has been proposed by Young. I think if we are aware about this, then I guess we can use some of this in our discussions with adolescents. Is it like rationalization? I will show you how the cycle works. Sometimes you have these self statements within you, wherein you basically believe that, okay, if I just spend some amount of time, it won't hurt. I have was studying really hard, and I deserve to spend some amount of time in social media. And also have maybe an assumption that yes, if I get on social media or on internet, I can control my use, and yes, maybe computer relaxes me. This is how this cycle starts, and this is how maybe how you start spending time on social media. Once you do that, maybe you have spent a good amount of time on social media, maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, and you have had something to do in those 3 hours. That is when the second step of the stage two starts, that is the regret. Uh, Basically, you try and blame yourself. You say that I can't believe I wasted all this time. I know that is going to cost me now, and I have to put in extra hours, and I have to possibly delay my sleep, and possibly you feel that you're not such a good person why you did this. and you regret comes in. The step 3 is, after this regret is, okay, there's a transitional phase of abstinence wherein you do not spend time, any time on the internet, and there's a complete abstinence. And you basically try, and for a few days you'll be engaging in all offline hobbies and nearly no time on these internet or on the social media application, and you are having offline activities. But what happens is relapse. The abstinence does not stay for quite longer. Whenever you feel stressful situations come, or some academic pressures come, or there is some interpersonal concerns that come up at the home front or in the home environment, possibly there's an increase in craving, what we discussed. You feel the need to escape out and to use the internet or social media. And because you remember that how basically it helps you to relax, and or it gives you a lot of validity, or it helps in becoming your enhancing and food. And at this point of time, the guilt which you had experienced earlier, they become minimized. You feel, no, I think those are fine, I can still manage it. Those rationalizations start to kick in again. And then again, once you use those rationalizations, there's a relapse. And this cycle goes in. So in psychological interventions, we also focus on focusing on these thoughts which individuals have, adolescents have, and try to work with these thoughts as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have got last 1 minute left. So would you like to summarize it?
Yeah, we will just want to summarize, and before we take up a few questions is, at this point in time, the understanding and scientific understanding about problematic social media use is still emerging. Global data which we have, and the data from India with the research work which we have done at the Shut Clinic at Enhance, it indicates that internet has a potential to cause possible significant amount of psychological harm. And the major kinds of addictions for internet are social media addiction, video game addiction, are the main types of internet addiction which are affecting adolescents and young adults. Also, the upcoming concern is, which is spoken very less about, is problematic online pornography consumption. Is very minimally reported in the research which we have done at the Shut Clinic at Advance. We got it in something as 0.9, which we don't believe it, because it's a socially desirable response. But there is public domain data which indicates that use of pornographic consumption is higher. Cyberbullying is an upcoming phenomena which has recently emerged in the past few years, and we are trying to develop interventions for this form of traumatic experiences which adolescents and young adults go through. And these social media addiction or disorder impacts biological functioning, as we discussed, social functioning and academic functioning, and also impacts the interpersonal relationships. And we discussed in terms of risk factors, male gender having high levels of neuroticism, low levels of self-esteem, and poor interpersonal relationships, poor peer relationships. They are risk factors in general for addiction to social media and smartphone. CBT is the kind evidence-based form of treatment, and also the multi-level counseling programs wherein we involve not only individuals or adolescents or young adults, but we also try and work with parents, and if required, with the extended support group of their peers if there is there. Other indications are complete abstinence is not possible from social media platforms. So the moderated use of internet is the indicated outcome, and in that view, we should develop digital hygiene skills, which are very crucial. And also some data we have about prevention programs for youth are very crucial, which needs to be taken up possibly in the communities where youth are there, that is schools and colleges.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us all those details regarding the impact of social media. Thank you so much for taking out time and be with us in this particular program. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all our viewers for watching this program. I really hope that this was beneficial to all of you. And just like I said initially, that Cyber Jaagrookta Diwas is organized by CIET NCERT and Cyber Peace Foundation. And this is the entire training where we are discussing the social media, its safety and well-being. So let me tell you more about this particular training we are having, and which is the second day we are having here, the social media impact we just discussed. So there are going to be more sessions on this same theme, and let me show you, if you want to see its details, how you can operate that. So all you have to do is simply type CIAT on your Google screens and you'll see this home page. Yes, here if you'll see, so many options are here. If you'll click on the events section, the third last option is workshop/training. If you'll click on this particular option, this is the next page you'll see. Scroll it down further, and in the current activity you can see this theme, this entire training we are having. So if you'll click on it, and these are all the details regarding our particular online training which is going on, and here is the entire schedule. You can see, you all can participate in this program, scan this QR code or fill this particular form by clicking on this link. And if you have missed the earlier sessions, then you can watch it here. This is the link given, and the quiz link will be uploaded on 18th of November. That would be the last day of this particular training. So this is all about our training for today, and let me tell you that NCERT and Cyber Peace Foundation have launched the E-Raksha compilation to showcase their knowledge and creativity in the domain of cyber safety. Let me tell you a little bit about E-Raksha Competition 2022. The goal of E-Raksha competition is to enable young people across age groups to become responsible digital citizens, and they have to follow certain safety norms and procedures. Well, the competition provides concrete and immersive experience of cyber security concepts to the young learners, educators, school students, authorities and parents to understand and imbibe cybersecurity technologies, threats, challenges and safety techniques while designing their own submissions. Well, participants are required to create and upload an artwork, which could be a poster, which could be a banner, podcast, video, essay, blog, software application aligning with the topic, which should be original, unique and created by them. The last three editions of E-Raksha 2019, E-Raksha 2020 and E-Raksha 2021 received very thought-provoking, valuable and creative submissions by participants all across the states of India. We look forward to many more beneficial and artistic entries across various categories. Well, you have to note a few points. The competition is open for students from schools and colleges, irrespective of their abilities, disabilities, socio-economic background, regional identity, cultural identity. You can be an educator and even a parent or caregiver across all states of India. Registration for the competition is absolutely free of cost. Entries can be submitted in Hindi or English language only. And entries submitted by the participants should be original and created by them. Copied entries from other sources will be rejected. There will be 3 rounds of evaluation, and the grand jury will select the top winners in each category, and their creatives will be displayed on NCERT and Cyber Peace Foundation portals. So that was everything about E-Raksha 2022. We're wrapping up this particular program right here, but our next program is a very special session, that is Sahyog, and the topic of discussion would be destigmatization, a beginning towards positive mental health for all. So stay here, keep on watching PME Vidya channels. Thank you so much. Namaskar.